This time we're going to take a look at hunting spies and malicious insiders with Microsoft 365 Insider Risk Management Tool. What is it? How does it work? And as always, what can it do for you? Hi there everyone, welcome back to the channel. Andy here, Microsoft MVP, as well as a Microsoft certified trainer. Please excuse the slight changes here. We're going through a number of changes. Currently I use a product called Camtasia to produce my videos, and all that is going to be changing in the next couple of weeks. I'm going to use or start using Ecamm Live, and that means we're going to start streaming some of these sessions live, and we're going to start doing Q&As, so watch out for that in the near future. It's going to be very cool. Now this week I'm going to talk about insider risk management. It's a really important compliance feature which comes part of Microsoft 365. And in the past, if you've had malicious users or potential insiders within your organization, it's been very difficult to track them down. Now, you may have had, the case where you've had bad HR policies in the past, and maybe somebody slipped by, maybe somebody didn't get a promotion, maybe somebody didn't get the pay rise that they want. And what results is the fact that you've now got a disgruntled employee. And disgruntled employees can cause real problems for organizations, not just in terms of reputational problems, but also financial problems. So having a little insight into potential levers is a really important part. Now, I'd like to point out, we're not accusing anybody of anything here. This is just a preventative measure. So in the demo that I'm going to show you, we're going to take you through all the different steps that you need to set up insider risk management, which comes part of Microsoft 365. Now, if you've not subscribed, I would love it if you would go ahead, click on that subscribe button, ring that bell, and you won't miss out on the good stuff in the future. And as always, I love comments, questions, and feedback about this or any of my other sessions. All right, so without any more jibber jabber, I think it's about time we got to the demo. Let's take a look. Okay. So I'm going to kick off in Compliance Center then, and I'm going to show you insider risk management. Now, as I said, this is an absolutely awesome feature for catching potentially malicious employees, potential insiders. Okay. Now, as with all of these, you get a number, and this is recently improved actually. So it's gone through a number of changes in recent weeks. So one of the first things that you want to do is you'll notice that you've got some icons over here on the right hand side. There are some recommended actions that you can go through. So these are the recommended actions. All right. And you'll notice here that like some of the permissions now in Microsoft 365, you need to get permissions to do insider risk management. So again, even if you've got global admin permissions, you might need to get other permissions here. So again, there is a compliance admin permissions that you need to get. So make sure if you're using this tool that you've got the appropriate permissions. Again, you might want to assign these for other users. So that's the recommended actions. Then we're going to go into the insider risk management settings. And as I've said in previous sessions, a lot of the juicy stuff can be found here in settings. And a really interesting one is this on the first one, so privacy. So privacy is really, really important. And again, some companies and some organizations and some countries in the world get very nervous about showing people's usernames and things like that. So if that's one of yours, then what you can do is rather than showing the names, you can actually just click on that and that will anonymize the reports. Okay. So very useful feature. Now, another thing is then this is what we call policy indicators. So these are all the kind of flags that are going to pop up. So what are the things that you want to flag? And again, what you can do is you can switch them all on here, and then when you actually create the risk policy, you can switch on and off. But you need to make sure that they're on here, all right? So for example, if you're monitoring folks from downloading files in SharePoint, or accessing sensitive files, or downloading content from Teams. Now, I'm not using device management at the moment. I've not onboarded any devices, but if I had, you can see that you've got things like printing files, copying files, creating hidden files and folders. That is unusual behavior potentially. Again, things like security policy indicators. This is a new feature. You need to switch these on. There's a PowerShell commandlet. And again, it tells you how to do that here. You need to run the PowerShell commandlet here. Then you've got things like physical access indicators. So again, if somebody's gaining physical access once their job has been terminated, I want to flag that up. So maybe somebody's got access to something, maybe an account wasn't closed down. And then we've got Defender for cloud apps. So again, unusual mass downloading of content, anonymous IP address, activity after termination, that's not right. If you work in the healthcare industry, again, health record access. Then you've got things like risk score boosters. So activity is above the usual activity for that day. User had previous case resolved, so that they're doing this, they've done this before. So again, that's something that you might want to monitor. So when we go into time frames here, how far forward do you want to go? So how long the policies will effectively triggered when a user performs the activity. So if they perform an activity, it will monitor them for 30 days, but also 90 days back. And again, you can adjust that if you want to. We've also got intelligent detections as well. So you can actually add in file types. So are there any specific file types that you want to add in that the user is accessing? What's the minimum number of daily events? So if they're generating a lot of events, again, that's something that you want to do. Now, if you're using Defender for endpoint, again, it also ties in with that here. Again, I'm not doing that at the moment. Is the user trying to communicate with any unallowed domains? So if so, you can add those domains here. You can also export alerts to the various other pieces of software, for example, Sentinel and Defender. We've also got other new features as well, where you can add in priority physical assets. So physical assets, if you've got an asset ID of a laptop or a phone or some other kind of iPad or something like that, you can add in that physical asset. And that will monitor that physical asset. That's brand new. That's just in preview. The other thing that we've got is you've also got Power Automate. So there is now an add-in for Power Automate. So if something happens, then a series of automations will take place. And there's a number of really quite useful recommendations here, as you can see. Likewise, if you're integrating with Teams, it will also obviously forward the information to a team if you've got an administrator. And again, we've got analytics, and again, you can also enable those admin notifications there. So like I said, the settings, especially for some of these tools, is really important. So where do we begin with insider risk management? Well, the first place that we begin actually is here in policies. So in the policies here, what I want to do is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to create a new policy. Now you can see here that we've got categories. So data theft, data leaks, security violations, and health record misuse. So if you're in healthcare, for example, you would use that one. So data theft by departing users. Now, of course, I am not accusing anyone here of being a bad guy, all right? But this could just be part of your HR process. So when the user puts in their notice or anything like that, you automatically monitor them just as per your terms and conditions or something like that. So I'm going to go with that one, and I'm going to, I'll call this my Oslo levers policy. Okay, so this is my Oslo levers policy, and you can include all groups and users. So you can include everyone if you want to, or you might have a special group called levers or something like that. For this demo, I'm going to create a group, and I've got Oslo here. And I'm going, in fact, I'll tell you what, we'll use some users as an example. So just cancel. Yeah, so I'm gonna, you can do it through groups here. You can do it through users. I'll do the group actually. So I will, and I'm going to say Oslo personnel. Okay, so I'm going to say Oslo personnel. All right. And you can see I've now added those in. So if I click next, it says, okay, do you want to specify any SharePoint sites that they've got access to, sensitivity labels, content, anything like that, or not? Okay, so yeah, okay, let's do that. So are there any SharePoint sites that Oslo have access to? So again, I can say, yeah, I want to maybe monitor this website that they've got access to. Is there any sensitivity labels, any sensitive information that these guys have access to? So again, just wait for this to come in. Okay, and again, this is like data loss prevention policies. So if I scroll right down to the bottom, and let's say, for example, you might be monitoring, what could we say? There you go. For example, Norway physical addresses, things like credit card numbers, and you can put a few things in here. All right. So there's things like credit card numbers, identification numbers. What else have we got? Yeah, Norway identity number here. Yep. So if that accidentally leaks out, if somebody's starting to copy that information, then obviously we want to know about it. All right. So I'm going to click next, and again, you can also, because we're using sensitivity labels, of course, so classification labels, these are the current labels that we have. So let's say you're in a department, let's say the finance, sales. So is anybody using any of these labels? Okay, I want to know about it. So you can add these content, this content in, and there we go. Now, triggers for this policy, a couple of things here. It talks about HR. So if you're connected to a HR system, such as Microsoft Dynamics, and the other one is if the user account is deleted from Azure Active Directory. Now, normally what you would need to do is you would need to enable the policy, okay? So you can go into the policy. Now, some of the policies or some of the options that you choose will only work with all users, okay? So some of the policies will work with just specific users, some of them will work with all users. So if I change that to all users, and you can see, I'll just go through this again, and you can see that this is now picked it up. Yes, so some policies work with all users, some policies work with selected users. So if you're using Dynamics, you can connect using a HR connector. So whenever a HR officer says, John Snow is leaving, then that will trigger the policy for his account. All right. Here are those policy indicators that we selected earlier in the settings, and you can see by default it's just selected them all. But you can, as I said, you can go in and you can remove if you feel any that are not relevant for this. All right, so that's what the policy indicators were for. So clicking on next, and again, do you want to use the default or custom indicator thresholds? So again, indicator thresholds, basically how many occurrences of things are you going to let go by? So do you want to customize them, or do you just want to use the default ones? To be honest, for the purpose of this demo, I'm just going to go ahead and accept that. All right, so again, you get the template. It talks about the content to prioritize. Again, it's just making some recommendations here if I want to add any more. But for the purpose of this demo, I'm quite happy. And I'm going to click on submit now. And there we go. I have now gone ahead, and it gives you a rundown of any kind of related tasks. And I'm now done. All right. So I have now created my leavers policy. And what that happens now, that's constantly monitoring. So any of those users in that group, if anything happens, it will generate an alert. Okay. And when it generates an alert, it will also create a case. And it will prioritize the alert. So it will prioritize the event. And if you see one here, you can then go into that policy, you can have a look at it, and you can then say, okay, I confirm this is an alert. I want to create a case from it. All right. Or you can dismiss the alert. Okay. And it gives you quite detailed information about that particular alert. All right. So the other thing that we've got, like I said, once it generates a case, again, you can then investigate it and take appropriate action. The other thing that you can also do is you can create what we call a notice template here. And a notice if there is a violation. So maybe under your terms and conditions, you need to let those users know that there's been a violation. So I can go here and I can create a notice template. Okay, so you can see here, I can create a staff template, just says warning violation, please contact HR for more details. So if they perform some kind of violation, it will send them an email and they need to contact HR. All right, because it might be accidental, of course. Okay, and then finally, of course, you get a nice overview of everything here. And that, gentlemen and ladies, is insider risk management. There you have it, hunting spies with Microsoft's insider risk management tool. A fantastic feature, isn't it? Now, if you've enjoyed the session, I would really appreciate a big thumbs up. And if you've got questions or comments, please get them down below. And as always, we love subscribers, so go ahead and click on that subscriber button. Now, in the future, watch out for our live sessions. I'm going to announce these in the next few weeks, and it's going to be really super exciting as I try and build my channel. So thank you so much for dropping by. I really do appreciate it, and you stay safe, and I'll see you next time. Take care. Hey, thanks so much for dropping by today. Here's a couple of videos that you may enjoy, and while you're here, go ahead, click on the subscribe button and you won't miss out.